Hello, my name's Harold. Today we're going to continue on with the flywheel mold that we're working on the other day, and should get a little bit further down the road. I ordered some ball end mills for it. Of course, they're the wrong size anyway, but they haven't come in. And I ordered some taper pins for it, and they're not here yet either. Both of them are frozen up in Pennsylvania, I guess. They've been in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania for days and days. And I guess basically I'll just have to work around that a little bit. And I've got ideas on how to do that. There's a tool supply just down the street, and I can go down there and buy some balls end mill, and it'll be the right size anyway, because the ones I ordered were too small. And then we'll get right on with it. Before we get out there on it, though, I'll have to tell you, I was sitting here a while ago and I got lost in thought. It was unfamiliar territory, so I kind of was balled up there for a little while before he gets started. I'd like to tell you a story about a Wurzel and a sailor. The British introduced me to the term Wurzel. Apparently, that's their redneck equivalent, or country hick, or something like that. I never could get the exact flavor of it because they had so many colorful names for things. And they had a fellow amongst them that we call him, say, John, because most of the British guys are named John. And he'd always tell them about how he was in the Navy, and this about the Navy and that about the Navy and so on. So they kind of just figured on getting two birds with one stone. Well, one of them had this little transmitter that you could set behind a radio, and it'd overpower all the other stations, and you could get in another room and talk into the microphone and put on your own radio broadcast. So they worked it up where he was going to be the BBC announcer and announce an invasion at the port of Jubail, which was about 5 miles from the plant. And so during this time, Khomeini had come into power in Iran, and the Shiites down in Safwa got to parading around with Khomeini's picture, and supposedly the Saudi police showed up and greased the place down a little bit with their grease guns, and there was a lot of high tensions, to say the least. So anyway, that laid the scene out for them. So they were back at their dormitory. They lived in the single guy quarters about 200 yards up the hill from the plant. And they had the Wurzel, and they had John in the room, and they were talking about, hey, what would we do, if Khomeini decided to invade here, because we know he don't like infidels and such. He'd probably take us all captive like he did the Bloody Yanks and all that sort of thing. And so they get the Wurzel all worked up, and one of them said, well, why don't we check the radio and see what's going on, So they turn on the radio and start their imitation BBC broadcast, and the announcer goes on as to how that the Iranians have landed at the port of Jubail there in Saudi Arabia, and they're on their way in land to take over everything. And the Wurzel gets excited, and the guy says, what are you going to do, mate? And they said, oh, we'll get John here to get us out of here. He said, we'll go down to the port, and we'll circle around behind him and steal us a boat, and John can get us out of here. And John said, oh, wait, I can't do that. I can't do that. They said, yeah, you was in the Navy, John. You can get us out of here on a boat. He said, but I was just a cook, and so they said, well, the heck with it. We're going to get out here and get us a truck, and we're going to circle around behind your bell and get us a boat. Let's get in there. Everybody, let's go, And the Wurzel says, oh, well, what about our mates down in the plant? And one of the guys says, well, bleep them, it's every man for himself now, And the Wurzel, he says, I can't do it. I can't leave my mates down. He says, I got to go down. And he took off and ran running down the hill toward the plant, And they called ahead of him to get him headed off before he stirred up anything. And it was pretty funny, the whole thing. Well, anyway, we'll go ahead and get on with working on our flywheel mold. We know how to do that, maybe. After I got through running these flat with the mill cutter, the fly cutter, I could feel a little burr right here. So I've determined to, I'll just sort of rub that little burr off on some of this emery cloth here. I was going to tape 3 pieces down here to the table, but this tape didn't hold. So that first little rub across there and it fell off. I've already done the other one. It's amazing what a little tiny thing you can feel with your fingers. But I could feel the burr. And I don't know that it's really important because you need room between the sides of a mold anyway for the air to get out. When Lee makes bullet molds, they always leave a pretty rugged crosshatch pattern on there, just for the purpose of letting the air get out. But that looks pretty good. You can still see the imprint of the burr, but it's mostly all gone. And so now we'll drill a couple of holes for the locating pins. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill one hole, put the pin in, stick this thing back together, and then drill the other hole, because I've had an awful lot of trouble with holes not being in the right place. And that's the only way I know to guarantee they'll line up good. It's of course turned back cold here in Texas, and it's pretty much an overcast day outside. So I looked up to the sky to see what I could be seeing, and there's not any distinctive clouds, and it made me think about when I was a kid, you know, and look up and see the clouds, you know, and think they looked like something. And then you get to thought, well, I wonder if clouds have ever looked down at people and remarked to each other, hey, there's one shaped just like an idiot. I hope they weren't looking at me. Anyway, we're going to drill this hole right here, and we're going to go down about 3/4 of an inch, I hope. I don't have that part of the DRO connected, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run past it here, and then I'm going to run down and set myself a stop about, well, yeah, that'd probably be about right, just right about there. And then just go ahead and set myself a stop so that I can't go deeper. When I put that DRO on the Z-axis here, I probably may not be able to do that anymore. I don't know. See, that'll come down when I drill down to there. It'll stop quite well. I don't go all the way through because I really don't need to. I could, but the pins that I've got are about that long, like that. So if I come down that deep, that'll be more than deep enough. That might even be too deep. Let's take a look at it here. It's gonna stick up. No, that's plenty good, I think. I think that'll work out just right. Alright, let's get on with the hole drilling. Like I said, I'm going to drill one hole, put the pin in it, and then I'll drill the next hole, because I don't want to have problems with the hole. Now, where I put these pins is I just picked a spot 2.5 inches up and 1/2 inch in and made a little dot there, and I'm sure it doesn't matter, you know, but that's what I did. Here we go. the bottom. Okay. Now we can move ourselves over to the next one. Oh, no. Getting all tangled up there. We're going to undo this and put the pin in the bottom one, and then put this stuff back on here. That's what we're going to do. So I guess probably I could put the pin in just right where it sits. We'll see. It's not like I've done this a lot of times, so I don't really know what to expect, but went in that part real easy. Let's whack it with these pliers. Well, I don't even have to whack it with the pliers. It comes right in and out all by itself. Maybe I should take it out and turn it over and try to dump all the shavings out of it. I'm probably going to have to do a Mr. Pete and put Loctite on it to keep it in there. It looks like there might be some shavings down in the bottom. Alright, put her back together here. We'll put this little pin down in there. And we'll put this guy on top of it. He's already got it on than it was putting the pin in. Alright, there we go. That pin's in there. At least this way I know that that the pins are going to line up. The holes aren't going to be in a bind. There. So we just move this little sucker down here. Alright. That looks pretty close to dead on the hole. Like I say, this isn't critical anyway. They could be anywhere. But I guess so I don't offend the sensibilities of some real machinist, I'll try and do everything in a relatively precise manner. WD-40 sure works great on aluminum. I discovered that in my garage back in the 1970s when I was trying to CC the engines and cylinder heads for some two-cycle dirt bikes. I found that I could lubricate it with WD-40 while I was cutting them, and everything would fit a lot better. Got a really good finish. I guess you couldn't say it fit better, the finish was better. And I guess even in that case it wouldn't have mattered if the finish had been a little rough. It would have given it something to grip onto the head gasket, but what the heck. We did what we did. Alright, there's another hole finished. We'll take her out of here, and then we got to move over to the lathe and cut out the actual wheel. You can see where I had marked off the spot there to keep me clear of where the wheel's actually going to be cut out on the inside. And that hole, that was only a 2 1/4 inch circle, because that's what I had laying there, was something 2 1/4 inches in diameter. Mr. Pete, his flywheels are 2 1/2 inches in diameter. I discovered that by keeping on watching his videos and measuring my fingers. His flywheels cover 3 fingers, and I figured that was about 2 1/2 inches unless he had really big hands. So And I think finally, at some point, he finally tells us what the diameter of the flywheel is. I don't guarantee that, but I think he did. The holes are gonna fit just like, whoops, they're gonna fit just like that, and I'm gonna have to do a little doing to get them together. But anyway, they're gonna fit like that. Burning, that doesn't make you feel encouraged. There you go. They're together. I'm almost certain that I can take them back apart. Yeah, there they are. Okay, so I don't need the pins in them right this second. I'll set them over here in the little magnetic dish, and we'll proceed to fix these up. Those holes could use a little deburring, I'm sure, but we'll do that the last thing after we get through with. I can feel a little bit of something there. Let's see what that does for me. Yeah, there's a tiny little burr there. Doesn't appear to be much of a burr on this one, but we don't need to deburr it right now. Right now we need to go over and oil up the lathe and get it ready to go, and get on with cutting the flywheel out.